Hi, Carol. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm speaking with Carol Nguyen today about a very interesting and cool project that she is working on. But Carol, you're a filmmaker and an artist extraordinaire, and I kind of want to get to know you first a little bit. So maybe let's start with an introduction about who you are, where you're based, and the work that you do.
Sure. My name is Carol Nguyen. I am a filmmaker. I was born and raised in Toronto, and now I'm based in Montreal. Um, I discovered filmmaking in Toronto when I was in high school. I went to an arts high school called the Etobicoke School of the Arts, and then continued on in Montreal in university, and then stayed here ever since.
Nice. So you've now become, you're more of a full-fledged filmmaker, is that right? Okay, so we're meeting today because not only you've done some work in the past, but you've also been part of So You Think You Can Pitch competition at Real Asian Film Festival this year. Prior to doing this pitch competition, I know you've done some really cool short films and other projects. Can you talk a little bit about those first and what that's journey been like for you?
Sure. I've done a bunch of short films as a student, but my first, legitimate film of what like the industry would describe as legitimate is No Crying at the Dinner Table, which was my thesis film in my third year of university. It was a short documentary about my family. It premiered at TIFF in 2019, and then it went on to do other festivals. We were really lucky to be able to win an award at South by Southwest, for instance,
Mhm.
and there was a whole like festival run online during the pandemic. And then after that, I just premiered my most recent film, Nanitic,
Yes.
which is a short fiction film at TIFF this year.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and then slowly we're making our rounds, waiting for the international premiere right now, and then we'll see. I have a couple projects in development, but of course, takes time to marinate, takes time to prepare
Of
things.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds really cool because I knew of your work from, ironically, South TIFF, and I didn't catch you there, but South by Southwest was the next time I saw your name, and there's no crying at the table. So excellent film, by the way. So congratulations on those two, and being at TIFF twice. Like that's a total treat, also because it's kind of like a home-based festival that has a good following. So moving into, you did your work in school. Your thesis has become kind of a nice festival favorite as a short film, and now you want to move on to other projects. So let's talk about your pitch. So the Real Asian Film Festival has this really cool program where filmmakers can pitch their ideas, but it has to be a full-fledged sort of idea. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you talk about that process of getting ready for the pitch competition and
Yeah.
what that kind of entails from your side of things?
Yeah, so I think it was a while ago, but to be able to pitch at the pitch competition, you have to do a submission first. So
Hmm.
from the submission, I think, they have tiers of people who look at the applications, and then they choose five finalists, and those finalists come on the pitch day and pitch live to a panel of jury and an audience. So I
Hmm.
was really lucky to be one of the five that were selected. And so the program, they have like some preparation days with some mentors that help you formulate. I guess like they just help you understand what it entails a pitch to begin with, and then
Right.
answer the questions that you have. So
Hmm.
we had one of those days with the mentors that Relation offered us.
Hmm.
And then after that, it's just up to you to write your pitch and to come up with your presentation, and then pitch it live. So for
Right.
me, I wrote my little pitch, and then I got my producer to look over it and practiced it with her, and then from there just practice it every day up into the pitch to make sure that I felt comfortable with it and
Right.
heard it. And then went from there. Like I'm someone who thoroughly enjoys public speaking,
Oh.
but but when there's like nothing at stake at the end, right?
Right.
When there is something at stake, like the pitch, like um, a Q&A where, this is going to determine potentially if you you receive what you came for,
Mhm.
that's really nerve-wracking. So that added like a layer of stress that I wasn't used to at all, which was interesting. But I think when you get to a place where you just know your pitch so well, you like get on stage, and I feel like there's a moment where it's just like, okay, my brain just clicks on, and then you just say everything that you've practiced.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're sharing that because I think it is a journey in unto itself with
Yeah.
your own project, right? Because you've had that seed planted of, you want to tell the story, and now it's becoming more, you're getting closer to maybe making it happen, but somebody has to really believe in it as much as you do, right? Was this your first pitch competition as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, congratulations. You're the winner this year. And the title of your project is Beyond Borders. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the idea of Beyond Borders, a little bit of a synopsis, perhaps, so that people know what you're going to be working towards?
Mhm. Beyond Borders is a short animated film. It's a hybrid documentary as well. So there are some fictional elements within the documentary. It follows my journey to Vietnam for the first time when I was 21, and the identity crisis that ensued from that, basically. And
Mm,
so, we've been working on the film since the conception for 2 years now, and slowly building up the funds to be able to push it into production. So Relations Pitch is like one of the chunks that we will be, filling in the budget, but there's also another gap. So from here, we're waiting on a couple other responses, and then hopefully we can just push in and finish the film in a year or a year and a half if we
mhm.
get yeses. But yeah, that's basically what the film is. It's black and white 2D animation as well.
Oh, very interesting. I love seeing this hybrid of um, storytelling in documentary filming, in films in general. I know if you're probably familiar with Eternal Spring, which is one of the documentaries out of Canada that uses animation to tell a very personal side of a very big topic. So, and why would you go with the animation option in Beyond Borders?
Mhm. It's something that I talked about in
Your
my
pitch?
pitch a little bit, but I've never done animation before. But
Hmm.
when I was in the process of just understanding my experience in Vietnam and reflecting, I experienced kind of this multidimensionality of what I was seeing and what I was experiencing psychologically versus what was in plain sight weren't aligning. There were a lot of flashbacks and a lot of feelings to stories that my parents used to tell me of the country.
Yeah.
And I think being a second generation immigrant, um, there was there was no way that live action could capture those like multi-layered feelings
Right. Hmm.
unless it was like a cheesy flashback, or unless it was, VFX or something where I could kind of implement the past and the present within the
Hmm.
image. So then that's when I knew it had to be animation. And of course, I think being young and eager, you're just like, I can do anything, and I just but not knowing what exactly that meant and like the budget for that and everything. But I'm really lucky I have a really supportive team behind me.
Yeah, so let's talk about your team. Who's involved in Beyond Borders? So the idea is yours, is your story. You're going to be directing. Who else are you working with?
Yeah, so I'm working with Adrienne Depuis-Pierre. She's my producer. And
Hmm.
then we're collaborating with an animation collective called Astroplastic in Montreal.
Nice.
The producer, the animation line producer is Fred Kezia. We have our amazing character designer, Ko, and then our amazing background designer, Parisa, storyboard artist, Ray. And then we're slowly expanding our team from there. Um, and who else? And then we're also fully casted already. So my parents are involved voicing the characters that they
Oh,
have, and then we have the Vietnamese community from Toronto and Montreal involved as well, voicing characters.
I
And
love it.
a huge call out last year.
Yes.
It's like the process is a little different in animation because you have to
Hmm.
do the a lot of the sound first, of course,
For
because they
sure.
lip sync. So we have that team set and steeled already.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's interesting to hear these behind the scenes stories, right? Because, there's a lot of work that filmmakers and their producers have to do before we get to see the finished film, right? And these pitch competitions are part of that in order to obtain some funding, to get some of the essentials, perhaps.
Mhm.
For your project. So you mentioned that this pitch competition award will help you with parts of this, but you're still kind of waiting for other funding to come through. Um, Given that this is your first experience with a pitch or doing a pitch, would you recommend it? Because I'm thinking, what would a filmmaker want to hear, or someone who's thinking of making films? Is this something that you would recommend as something to practice, and two, another avenue for funding?
For sure. I mean, I think it depends on your financial structure as well and what you want from the pitch, because for us, it was also the first time that we publicized anything about the film.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
It was kind of a big moment to just see how the audience would react to our material as well.
Yes.
Of course, there's like other funding methods in Canada, like government funding, the arts councils, telefilm, or like SODEC if you're in Quebec. But the pitch, obviously, compared to what you can apply for with those modes of funding, um, it is way more than what the pitch will give to you. But if you're looking for more than just funding, you want an experience, you want to publicize your film, you want to practice talking about your film in front of an audience, I think it's a great idea. So it just really depends what you're looking for.
Right. And would you say that having the opportunity to work with a mentor or mentors as well, help you with the pitch, as like delivering of the pitch at the end?
For sure. I mean, it was very brief. It was like
Mhm.
we just had like a couple hours with them.
Okay. Hmm.
But still, they answered really interesting and important questions
Hmm.
that all the pitchers had.
Yes.
So yeah, I think any mode of like support or resources that the festival gave to us was really helpful.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. And what about your relationship with other pitchers? Because I know you're all kind of vying for the same kind of award, but I'm sure there's a level of camaraderie there too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was really friendly. Competition. I think everyone was just so nervous for themselves,
Right. Hmm.
memorized their own pitch that there was no space for competition. It was just very friendly.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's kind of what I miss about being there in person. For anybody who's wondering, the Real Asian has festival has put it up on their YouTube, so I'll link it so that people can watch it. What did you take away after it's out of your system, you've done the pitch, and while you probably did have some Q&As from the folks involved in the decision making, but what did you take away in terms of the interaction that or responses you received from the story, like the idea of your story?
I think I took away that we're heading the right direction.
Hmm.
Like I said, we've been working on it for 2 years now, and the
Yes.
material hasn't passed our own team. And of course, like all the juries of whatever arts council we were applying for.
Hmm.
So being able to see the jury's reaction and the public's reaction, it just like touched me a lot because we've been working so hard and animation takes so much labor to even
Of
produce one
course.
animation that being able to have some sort of at least like instant gratification.
That's true. That's true. I think it's important because it's also, like you said, not only is it grounding you in that you're going in the right direction, but it's grounding, at least the way that I see when responses are really positive, it also shows us the need for these stories to be shared, right? And the perspective that you bring, given that it's your own story, but there's so many of us that could probably relate to that, right?
Yeah.
Um, So, okay, so you talk a little bit about what's next. Is the hope that maybe within the next year, year and a half, it's going to be the similar with your other films? You're going to take it to some festivals and see what happens from that?
Um, you mean the films I have in development?
Yeah, like the Beyond Borders one, for example.
So am I gonna do more, you mean?
Well, once that one is completed, and is the idea that you're also going to launch it through the festival circuit and then like just have it tour the way that your other films have toured?
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
think the festival circuit is great. That's like I think that's where I feel closest to my audience. So I
Okay.
hope that all films get to be able to go through the festival circuit or
Hmm.
online and on broadcast and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about, so aside from the short films, do you have any other projects that you're working on right now? I'm sure you do. Is there anything that you can share that you're working on that we can look forward to?
Sure. I'm working on a feature documentary right now. We just applied to production funding.
Hmm.
We went through a whole period of development, which was really exciting this summer. We've been working on, I think, like from the script to where we are now, it's already been 2 years. So
Hmm.
hope the production funding comes in by next year, late next year, we can film. And then I'm also working on the development stages of a feature fiction as well.
Oh, very nice.
So very different projects, very different types of like processes and writing, but
Hmm.
two projects that are very close to my heart. And so
Hmm.
those are the ones that I can talk about.
Okay,
Um,
that's good. Without giving too much away. So that's good. So is the idea for you, Carol, that you're going to be doing more writing and directing in your career for the time being?
I hope so. I mean, I think my like the projects that I write will always be the one closest to me. Um,
Hmm.
'Cause they're probably conceived from some deep dark question that I have, or some childhood exploration from my past. But I am starting to really enjoy directing films that I don't write, um,
Hmm.
especially those that are not like commercial based or those that
Right.
are for a big enterprise that
Hmm.
have more of a heart and soul to them.
Right. I mean, we all do work that sometimes is for, life, like, daily living costs. And then there's the passion projects, right? So I think that's what you're referring to, the difference in, I guess, the reward that you get from working on certain films versus others.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about these features in the future. If people want to find you, Carol, what is your website? What are your handles on social media? Is there one that you prefer over the other?
My website is carolnguyenfilms.com, and then I'm mostly on Instagram, so it's my name, Carol Nguyen underscore.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carol. I appreciate you speaking with me today. And again, congratulations on winning the pitch at Reolation. And hopefully we'll see the Beyond Border soon.
Thank you, Heidi.
Fingers crossed. Um,